All right, deep dive fam, buckle up. We've got two major head scratchers blowing up the news right now.
Yeah, definitely.
First up, could we, actually be seeing a surprise shift in the whole U.S. Houthi drama?
Big question there.
And back home, the border debate is still absolutely, well, let's just say it's intense. DEFCON 1 kind of.
Sure. Still really heated.
So, on this deep dive for Americats, we're going to try and cut through the noise, lay out what's being reported, what the reactions are.
Yeah, and what the core questions seem to be, without getting lost in all the, speculation.
Exactly. Just the facts as they're being presented, straight up.
Think of this as your cheat sheet, maybe, to understanding the real deal behind these two developing stories.
Yeah, good way to put it.
We've sifted through the initial reports and statements to give you a clear picture of what's being claimed and how different players are responding. Like you said, no spin zone, just the info as it's coming in.
Okay, sweet. Let's jump straight into this Houthi situation then. So Trump dropped this statement saying, essentially, the Houthis are done fighting.
Right. That was the headline grabber.
He claimed they told the U.S. they're over it, and because of that, the U.S. is supposedly gonna, chill with the bombing. He even mentioned they promised to leave our ships alone, which, was the initial trigger for the whole bombing campaign in the first place.
The original justification, yeah.
And get this, he hinted at a big announcement coming before his Middle East trip, saying the Houthis themselves told us all this. It's a pretty bold claim, honestly.
It really is. And what's kind of wild right off the bat is the reaction, or maybe the lack of reaction, from a key player.
Who's that? Israel.
Yeah. Reports from Israel's Channel 12 News are saying the Israeli government was completely in the dark about Trump's statement.
No way. Seriously.
Apparently. No heads up, no prior discussion.
Yeah.
That silence, or that reported lack of communication, if it's true, it really makes you wonder about the actual communication channels, right? And who's actually in the loop on these things.
Totally. It definitely throws a wrench in the idea of, a unified front or everyone being on the same page over there.
Exactly. You'd think allies would be totally aligned on something this significant, wouldn't you?
You really would. But then, okay, the Houthis themselves came out with a major, clapback.
Oh, yeah. Pretty strong denial.
A senior Houthi official straight up denied everything. Called Trump's statement basically a face-saving move after what they see as a massive failure in Yemen and his aggression against them.
Right. They framed it as his failure, not a change of heart on their side.
Totally. They even went as far as to say his whole campaign flopped so badly that Israel had to directly intervene after some incident, something at the Ben Gurion airport.
Yeah, the reports mention that, but side note, our sources didn't really give any, details on what exactly happened there, so kind of unclear.
Okay, so a bit vague on that part.
Right, the specifics weren't elaborated on, but the core message from the Houthi side is just a complete rejection of Trump's narrative, 100% denial.
Wow.
They're accusing him of flat-out lying to wiggle out of a tough spot. And their bottom line seems pretty clear.
Which is?
Well, they're saying, basically, no Israeli ships are getting anywhere near their ports until the blockade on Gaza is lifted and the attacks there stop. Full stop.
So, super defiant. No compromise there.
Seems like it. It's a pretty uncompromising position. This isn't just, a minor disagreement over details. It's a completely opposite interpretation of what's happening right now.
Exactly. It's like we're looking at two completely different realities being described, polar opposites.
Total.
And that's why everyone's kind of waiting on pins and needles, right, to see what the White House is going to say to clarify this whole ceasefire thing.
Yeah, the ball's kind of in their court now to explain what's what.
Apparently, they're expected to release some kind of statement soon, and it's supposed to include Israel's perspective on all of this, too.
Okay, so that might shed some light. Or maybe just add more confusion. Who knows?
Yeah, it could go either way. It just highlights how much uncertainty there is and how many conflicting stories are just floating around right now.
Definitely a watch this space situation.
For sure. Okay, switching gears completely now, let's dive into the border situation back here, because that's another topic where things are just super intense.
Yeah, absolutely. The heat around the immigration debate was really on display during a recent CNN panel discussion. Scott Jennings laid out a pretty strong perspective.
Okay, what was his main point?
Yeah, Jennings basically argued that the U.S. has been, and this is his word, invaded by millions upon millions of people who have crossed the border illegally.
Wow, invaded. That's strong language.
It is. And he was super clear that, in his view, Trump was elected specifically to remove these individuals. That was like the mandate.
Right.
And he doesn't believe that any kind of long-term backlog system is ever going to be an effective way to actually achieve that goal. He basically sees it as fundamentally inadequate.
Gotcha. So the system itself is the problem, according to him.
That seems to be his argument. But then, that's where Abby Phillip, another panelist, offered a different take.
Okay, what did she say?
Well, she acknowledged that, yeah, illegal immigration is a long-standing issue. It's not new, but she kind of questioned the invasion framing.
Questioned the wording.
Yeah. Her point was sort of, why is the idea of having a process for deporting people seen as something like unusual or extraordinary? In her view, that's simply how a system designed to manage immigration should function. There should be a process. She seemed to be pushing back against what she might see as maybe overly inflammatory language.
Okay, so focusing on process versus, like, crisis language.
Kind of. But Jennings wasn't really letting up on that. He immediately fired back by asking a really direct question.
Which was?
About just how long this deportation process actually takes in reality.
Ah, the efficiency argument.
Exactly. Then he brought up this example of someone who was sent back to El Salvador after being in the U.S. illegally for, get this, 14 years.
14 years.
Yeah. Like, that's a really significant amount of time for someone to be within a system that's supposedly processing and deporting individuals relatively quickly.
Okay, yeah. That example definitely highlights his point about effectiveness, or lack thereof.
Right. It really underscores his argument about the system being, well, ineffective or maybe easily exploited. He concluded his points by stating that, in his opinion, millions of people have gamed this system, and he implied that any current or proposed solutions might just allow that to continue. It's pretty stark and critical assessment of the situation.
Yeah, definitely critical, and highlights the challenge in finding solutions everyone agrees on.
For sure. Huge challenge there.
So, okay, just to kind of bring it all together for everyone listening, internationally, we have this potential U.S. Houthi de-escalation.
Maybe, yeah, big maybe.
Claimed by one side, but then flat out denied by the other side, the Houthis. And a key ally, Israel, apparently wasn't even in the loop, which is kind of wild.
Super messy picture there.
And then domestically, the debate around immigration is just incredibly polarized. You've got fundamentally different ways of even describing the situation. Invasion versus long-standing issue.
Right. The framing is totally different.
And vastly different ideas about what effective solutions might even look like. Process versus, well, mass removal, maybe.
Exactly. It leaves you, the listener, with some serious questions to chew on, right?
Totally.
Like, regarding the Houthis, what is the actual state of communication between them and the U.S.? Is there any back channel? We don't know.
Good question.
And what will the White House's clarification actually reveal? Will it clear things up about the U.S. and Israel's understanding, or muddy the waters more?
Yeah, what's the real story going to be? And then on immigration.
Yeah, on immigration. Like, how significant of an obstacle is the backlog in the deportation process? Is that 14-year example typical or an outlier? And are there fundamentally different ways to even understand the challenges at the border? How do those different understandings shape the potential solutions being proposed?
It's complex. For real. It really makes you think about how information gets out there, how it spreads, and how easily different narratives can take hold, especially with fast-moving situations like these.
Definitely. Information travels fast, but the truth sometimes takes longer.
So true. It's kind of up to all of us, you know, listening and watching, to really dig a little deeper, maybe, and not just accept the first headline we see as the absolute final truth.
Yeah, critical thinking is key. Look out for those official statements. Follow the developments.
Definitely keep an eye out and see how these stories continue to unfold. There's clearly like a lot more to both of these situations than meets the eye right now.
Absolutely. More to come, for sure.